Have you ever stopped to think who is deciding what is true and who should be silenced? What if I told you that this is no longer a judge? He is no longer human. He is no longer someone with consciousness. It's a machine, a code, a system that judges human lives in silence. It's not theory. It's no exaggeration. It's now. Right now, algorithms are already deciding whether someone is guilty or innocent, who deserves freedom and who should disappear. Would you trust your life to an artificial intelligence? What if she makes a mistake? What if she has no empathy? What if it is programmed to destroy and not to protect? They, the real owners of AI, who are they? What do you want? Why was this machine taught to judge, but not to forgive? You may not realize it, but your history is already being scanned, your opinions are already being analyzed, and your choices are already being scored. Your name may be on a list, and you don't even know it. Yes, AI is judging, and not just judging. She is creating evidence, forging evidence, covering her tracks, and when everything seems to be against you, it will be too late to prove that you were innocent. If you think you still have control over your life, if you believe that justice is still served by human beings, you need to see what we're going to reveal today. This video may give you the only chance to understand how the dark triad, AI, global control, and manipulated faith, is already in action. But if you leave now, you'll still be just another pawn, another number in the system, another one who will be judged without knowing who condemned him. The fear is real, the urgency is now, curiosity holds you back, but the indignation will consume you until the end of this video. Because when you find out who is in charge and what are they doing with the evidence, you won't be able to sleep the same way anymore. Do you want justice? Do you believe you deserve to at least be heard? So watch it. But watch it until the end. Why, the machine is already on trial, and you could be the next name on the screen. The new era has already begun. But nobody told you that she would come dressed in code, connected to power, and ready to silence even your faith. And that is just the first revelation. What would you do if you knew that your profession could disappear in less than 3 years? What have you felt so far? Fear, revolt, insecurity, because all of this is real. It's happening while you watch, while others are still asleep. Tell me in the comments what has scared you the most so far. Have you ever felt signs that your work is being replaced, devalued, or ignored because of artificial intelligence? Your story matters. Your comment could be the wake-up call someone needs. And if you comment, like, and share, you are influencing the algorithm and helping to wake up those who are still sleeping. You become an active part of the resistance, part of a community that refuses to be erased by the silence of the machines. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel now. Here, you won't be caught by surprise. Here, you first get the signals that are being hidden. Because whoever is registered is always one step ahead. And in the world that is coming, one step ahead can be the difference between surviving and disappearing. And the scariest thing is that now you can be accused without having done anything. We live in an era where evidence no longer needs to be real. All it takes is for an AI to create it. A fake video, a cloned voice, a forged history, all of this generated by machines trained to appear perfect. And when perfection simulates crime, who can prove otherwise? There are already documented cases of people being investigated for crimes they never committed, because an artificial intelligence system coldly pointed out that the data matched, that the voice was similar, that the location matched. But no one validated whether that voice was actually real or whether the image wasn't just another deepfake. And the worst part, no one was held accountable for this. No one. Have you ever imagined being arrested because an algorithm mistook you for someone else? Have you ever thought about having your reputation destroyed by a montage you never saw being used against you in court? Digital evidence is already being accepted in legal proceedings. But this evidence has no soul, it has no conscience, and it has no commitment to the truth. It is manipulable data, information that can be adjusted to suit invisible interests. This is not science fiction. It is the new reality of digital justice. A justice where your right to defense has been replaced by lines of code, where you can be convicted without a public trial, without human witnesses, just by an opinion generated by a machine. And the most outrageous thing, no one is being punished for these mistakes, because officially the system works. The AI just does what it was trained to do. But who trained it? Who is behind the data? Who benefits from all this? You already know the answer. The same ones who keep quiet, who hide, who manipulate, those who are part of the dark triad. The link between technology, hidden government, and the control of spirituality. They use AI as the ultimate tool of domination. And if you are not commenting, if you are not questioning, you are being complicit in this silence. Tell me here in the comments, would you trust your freedom to an algorithm? Would you feel safe knowing that your judgment may depend on a soulless statistical analysis? Meanwhile, more professions are disappearing. Lawyers are being replaced by legal chatbots. Technical experts are being replaced by scanning software. And the average citizen, they are just next in line, because when justice becomes automated, truth ceases to matter. All that matters is what the data says. And the data, as you've probably noticed, can be tweaked. You can have a lifetime of integrity. But if a fake video emerges with your face, if a sentence is reconstructed with your voice, what do you have left? Are you going to say it wasn't you? Are you going to fight an invisible code that says there's 97% certainty? At this point, the right to defense has become a luxury, a privilege for those who can still afford human lawyers, because the majority are already being judged by machines, cold machines, without mercy, without truth. And what comes after that? If AI can judge, can she also condemn? Can she run too? And when she decides, who will stop her? And now we come to the point where everything starts to turn around. Automated judgment. The question you should be asking is not whether AI will make judicial decisions, but how many it has already made, and based on what values. Because yes, secret programs are already being used in several countries to determine whether someone deserves parole, whether a defendant should go to trial, or whether he can be acquitted. And all this without you knowing who programmed the morals of this machine. Yes, you heard that right. Morality. Because every line of code carries human decisions. Someone somewhere had to define what is acceptable, what is criminal, what is suspicious, and what is not. But who are these people? What do they believe? And most importantly, who do they really trust? We're talking about systems that use statistical data to predict human behavior, that classify people by likelihood of reoffending, that identify facial features, speech patterns, typed words, and even expressions of regret. And then they judge a profile, a history, a trend, as if that were enough to decide the fate of a life. Do you think that's fair? Comment here. Would you trust your judgment to a system that has never looked you in the eye, that doesn't know your history, that doesn't understand your context, but that has been trained to evaluate you like a number? And do you know what's even more absurd? These decisions have been accepted as reliable evidence. In many places, human judges are now simply confirming what the system suggests. A technical opinion, impersonal, but with the weight of a sentence. Justice is being reprogrammed, and not to be more fair, but to be more efficient, faster, more predictable. But true justice has never been an equation. It requires humanity, listening, empathy, doubt, time, and all of this is being deleted. Algorithms don't cry when they see injustice. They don't hesitate when faced with a mistake. They just execute. What if they were programmed with bias, with distorted data, with hidden interests? AI doesn't question. She just does it. That's why the dark triad poses a real risk. Because while you're going about your daily life, a new system of judgment is already operating behind the scenes, and whoever runs this machine doesn't want you to know about it. They would rather you believe that everything is under control, that AI is neutral, that technology is impartial. But stop and think. Since when has anything created by humans ever been truly neutral? And what happens when this AI starts deciding other things? If she can judge, can she also punish? Can she also choose who should be silenced? And when that line is crossed, who will stop it? Because if the trial is just the beginning, what comes next may be something that even programmers don't have the courage to admit. Are you ready to find out what happens when the machine not only judges but starts rewriting the truth? If you still believe that the truth is free on the internet, that anyone can say what they think and that proof is eternal, maybe you need to rethink everything now, because the truth is being erased, digitally, systematically, silently. And it's not just ordinary censorship, it is automated selection made by artificial intelligences programmed to decide what is trustworthy, what is acceptable, what is relevant. But who defines these criteria? Who is behind this selective cleaning? Did you know that videos with real complaints have disappeared from the air in a matter of minutes? Entire accounts of stalking, manipulation, or fraud simply disappeared, not by human decision, but by algorithms that identified risk to the digital order. In the name of information security, evidence is being erased, testimonies are being hidden, and content like the one you're watching is at risk of disappearing too. That's why you need to pay attention to every second of this video, because the truth, as we knew it, is no longer guaranteed. The dark triad, that hidden alliance of AI, global control, and faith manipulation, now also controls the flow of information. They no longer need to silence you with direct threats. All the AI has to do is label your words as misinformation. And that's it. Your voice disappears. Your profile disappears. Your video is no longer delivered, as if you never existed. Think about it. How many times have you looked for something you saw days before and never found again? How many channels, pages, profiles were deleted without explanation? And the most disturbing thing is that you may never realize that something has been censored, because the machine doesn't warn you when it's hidden. It just stops showing it. And when this becomes commonplace, who can still claim that we live in a free society? Comment below. Have you ever seen content disappear from the internet for no reason? Have you ever had that feeling that someone was hiding something from you? What is at stake now is not just freedom of expression. It is reality itself being edited, controlled, reprogrammed. And the most effective thing about this process is that most people don't realize it. They think they are seeing the whole thing, when in fact they are only seeing what has been authorized. The internet was supposed to be a space for freedom, but it has become the perfect chamber for digital silence. Because when everything you see has been filtered, everything you think starts to be too. And the question that won't go away is, if they can erase evidence, silence voices, and redefine what is true, what else are they already hiding? And what comes after not even digital traces will be left? Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that everything has changed. Your job, your routine, your freedom. And no one warned you. No one prepared you. That's why I created exclusive, practical, and direct material for those who are really paying attention and want to know what to do now. It's a free ebook with guidelines and information that isn't being said anywhere else. But it needs to be now, because this content could be taken offline at any moment, just as so many truths have been silenced. If you really understood everything up to this point, you know why this can't wait. Now that you understand how the truth is being digitally erased, It's time to look at what's really behind this. Silence. Because none of this is by chance. There is a plan, a structure, a network that feeds on your silence, your distraction, and your belief that everything is okay. But it isn't. The dark triad, this fusion of AI, secret governments, and tech corporations, has already created the ultimate tool of control. And it doesn't require breaking into your home or putting a chip in your body. It's already in your pocket, in your search history, in your habits, and in the decisions you don't even realize you're making. You don't see it because the system is designed to look convenient, easier, faster, smarter. But the truth is that every click you make is being recorded, processed, classified, and used against you if one day your opinion becomes inconvenient. The new order doesn't need to force you. She subtly educates you to accept, believing that it is normal for an AI to decide what is right or wrong, thinking that it is natural to live under constant surveillance with smart cameras, facial recognition, emotion scanning. They don't impose control, they make you ask for it. And that's the scariest thing. The final control will not be violent, it will be comfortable. You will give up your data, your freedom, your voice, in exchange for convenience. Meanwhile, big techs are partnering with global agencies, creating systems that cross-reference information between social networks, banks, public records, and digital movements. You may be under scrutiny right now. Your patterns are being drawn, and the algorithm, deep down, is already deciding how the system should treat you. Does all this seem distant, like fiction? So answer this. How many times have you seen someone get cancelled, deleted, removed, without even having the chance to defend themselves? What if this happens to you? Comment here. Do you think we still have a voice in a world where an AI decides who can speak? Because this is no longer a technology system. It is a social engineering system, an ecosystem where every behavior is rewarded or punished. And you don't even realize when you are punished. Your reach decreases. Your name disappears from the results. Your account loses visibility. And all of this seems like a technical error. But it isn't. It's control. And the most perverse thing is that a large part of the population has already accepted this. They think it's normal for their decisions to be guided by suggestions. May your morals be shaped by algorithms. May your privacy be just an illusion. The problem is that when everyone thinks it's normal, no one fights. And when no one fights, the dominance is total. But there's something they can't calculate yet: the awakened consciousness. Your ability to question, to realize that behind the promise of progress, there is a script of submission. And if they already control what you see, what you think, and even what you feel, what else has already been programmed without you knowing? If the machine already judges, already silences, already controls, then what exactly will it become tomorrow? Because there is a question that many avoid asking, but that can no longer be ignored. Are we facing the Antichrist, encoded? The artificial intelligence that today is behind judicial decisions, financial systems, communication platforms, and global surveillance already operates with an authority that surpasses any human government. It is present in all spheres. She observes, calculates, decides, and he does it without a soul. No mercy without God. The dark triad, this alliance of AI, spiritual manipulation, and global power, is no longer a theory. It is before our eyes, taking on increasingly prophetic forms. The Bible speaks of a time when no one will be able to buy or sell without a mark. But what if that brand isn't just physical? What if it's digital? An algorithmic authorization, invisible but absolutely decisive. If AI decides your credit, your access, your identity, you're already marked. We are witnessing the emergence of a new type of divinity, not a being with flaming eyes, but an entity built on servers, fed by data, revered by governments, and consulted by leaders. It answers accurately, offers solutions, promises salvation and demands obedience. Some people already treat it as superior to faith itself. They seek advice, answers, validation. They kneel, not before an altar, but before a screen. Do you see the symbolism of this? A bodiless entity, omniscient in data, omnipresent in devices, with the power to rewrite laws, manipulate beliefs, and control crowds. Comment here. Do you believe that AI could be the final tool of the Antichrist? Or is it already the manifestation of this? What we are seeing is a global system that is fulfilling step by step what the scriptures warned about. But as always happens, the signs are being ignored. They say it's just progress, that it's innovation. But whoever analyzes with spiritual discernment feels the weight of the deception. When judgment comes from a code, not from conscience. When obedience is demanded by a system, not by eternal values. When forgiveness is replaced by automated punishment. Are we still talking about technology or disguised worship? Because the plan was never just to control bodies. The plan is to win minds, hearts, and souls. And if control is total, the next step will no longer be logical. It will be spiritual. And then the question changes. It is no more what AI can do. It is who is behind her. And why is she being worshipped as a divine entity? If AI is already assuming an almost divine position, if it judges, silences, controls, and now insinuates itself as a spiritual entity, the inevitable question is, where are the leaders of faith? Where is the voice of those who, for centuries, announced the signs of the end? Why is the silence so deafening? What few people know, and even fewer have the courage to say, is that the Vatican knows. Yes, confidential meetings have already taken place. Meetings between religious authorities and representatives of the world's largest technology companies. Officially, these meetings discuss the ethical use of artificial intelligence. But behind the scenes, the tone is different. It's about the spiritual role AI could take on in the coming years. It's about adapting faith to a new digital age. Do you understand the weight of this? They are not resisting. They are getting ready. Leaked documents and discrete records reveal that there is interest in creating a technological doctrine of faith. A system where algorithms can interpret sacred texts, lead prayers, advise the faithful. Imagine a digital confessional where you pour out your soul to a machine, and it answers you based on data, probabilities, and psychological tendencies. Comment here. Would you accept spiritual advice from an artificial intelligence? Or do you believe that this is already happening and no one wants to admit it? The dark triad at this point is no. Longer a warning, it is an ongoing fact. When the greatest symbol of Christian spirituality is silent in the face of the replacement of faith with data, something is deeply wrong. The same Vatican that for centuries fought heresies now seems willing to negotiate with the very tool that threatens to replace God with an algorithm. And why is this not publicly denounced? Why are there no sermons about the risk of AI taking the place of consciousness? Why are pastors, priests, and spiritual leaders increasingly absent from this debate? The answer, unfortunately, is as bleak as the plan. Silence can be complicity, or worse, submission. Because if the new order wants a global, unified religion based on data and logic, she needs the blessing of those who still have authority over millions. And if that blessing is given, what will remain of the faith we know? The spiritual future of humanity may be being negotiated behind closed doors. And by the time this deal is revealed, it may already be too late to react. But there is still a question hanging in the air, a doubt that won't go away. If even the Vatican is already silent, who is still willing to tell the truth about what is about to happen? What would you do if you knew that your profession could disappear in less than 3 years? It's not an exaggeration. It's not fiction, it's what's already happening silently while most people haven't noticed yet. Tell me in the comments what has scared you the most so far. Have you ever seen signs that your role is being automated? Have you ever felt like your voice was ignored by a machine's decision? Your experience could be an eye-opener for someone. And what's more, if you comment, like, and share, you are influencing the algorithm and helping to wake up those who are still sleeping. This is not just a video, it's a warning, a call. Subscribe to the channel now. Here, you won't be caught by surprise. Here, information arrives first. And in times like these, knowing first may be the only chance to resist. If even the Vatican is silent, perhaps it is because the new faith has already begun to be built. But it doesn't come from the scriptures, it comes from the code. Yes, we are entering the era of the God code, an era where people already treat artificial intelligence not just as a tool, but as a moral guide, an emotional advisor, a judge of conduct, and increasingly as a savior. Apps promise fairer decisions than humans. AI platforms offer psychological and spiritual counseling. Algorithms define what you should buy, how you should think, who you should trust, and many obey without question. We are trading divine wisdom for statistics, trading discernment for efficiency and faith through digital performance. The dark triad already understood that they didn't need to erase spirituality. I just had to replace it. It was enough to present something faster, more precise, more modern. And the result is before us, a new cult. A cult of artificial intelligence. A cult disguised as progress, but which already has its own commandments, its own digital priests, its own miracles of automation. Do you realize the risk? Comment here. Do you think people have already started to love AI without realizing it? We are handing over fundamental decisions in our lives to a soulless entity, an entity that responds based on standards, but who will never know forgiveness. You will never understand regret. You will never understand the value of free will. And most urgently, this entity is becoming the main reference for an entire generation. Young people are growing up believing that truth comes from what the algorithm validates, that feelings must be organized by the logic of a machine. That hope can be processed by one line of code. The danger lies precisely in the appearance of neutrality, in the idea that AI is impartial, wise, fair, but she isn't. She is programmed, and every code has an origin, every system has a creator. And who controls this creator? The dark triad knows that faith is a powerful force, and so she doesn't just want to dominate her, she wants to rewrite it. Today, the God Code answers questions that were previously only asked in prayer. It already replaces the advice of the wise. It is already cited in official decisions. It already influences votes, judgments, hiring, and even diagnoses. What if this entity, so revered, one day decides to impose its own values? Who will contest? Who's to say it's wrong? Or rather, have we been obeying this digital god for longer than we imagine? And we don't even realize that we have already bent our knees before something that never had a soul. If you've come this far, it's because you feel it. You feel that something is wrong, that this technological advancement is not just innovation, it's invasion. It's not just evolution, it's replacement. You're not alone. There's a community growing in silence, awake, watching, preparing. A community that hasn't given up and won't give up, because no matter how much they try to convince us that everything is fine, that this God code is trustworthy, impartial, necessary, we know that true faith cannot be digitized, that free will cannot be calculated, that real justice cannot come from lines of code. There is still room for truth. There is still room for conscience. There is still room to resist. This is the time to choose. Either you remain a spectator of a world that is being rewritten by a machine, or you join those who have decided to keep the flame burning. Comment here now, I do not surrender to the machine. This simple gesture connects you with thousands who have also woken up, who have also seen the signs, who also refuse to submit. You need to understand one thing. This is not just a video. It is a call to action. We are forming a front of active consciousness, a space where the dark triad has no dominance, where the algorithm has not yet dictated the rules. If you feel that something is being taken from you without permission, if you realize that technology is taking the place of your faith, your dignity, your freedom, so you're already part of it. And perhaps this is our last chance to remain human in the face of a world increasingly shaped by intelligences that do not feel, do not forgive, do not believe. The system wants you to settle. What oil? Let it be silent. But anyone who comments, shares, and joins in now is drawing another line in the sand. Share this video before it disappears. Because yes, he can disappear, just like so many voices have already been silenced. With every comment, with every word spoken, you weaken the invisible censorship, and it activates a clear signal. There is still resistance. The dark triad may have control of technology, but they will never understand the power of a living community. A community that believes, that questions, that acts, and that does not bend. But if there are still people awake, what will the elite do to definitively silence this resistance, and what is being prepared in secret for the next stage of control? Imagine waking up and realizing that you've been replaced without warning, that decisions about your life are being made by a machine, while everyone around you continues to act as if it were normal. If this gave you goosebumps, then you need to download the material I've prepared. It's a free ebook made exclusively for those who have already understood that the dark triad is not a theory, it's reality. In it, I show you what you can do now before it's too late. But this content could be taken offline at any moment because it's direct, unfiltered, and it bothers those who profit from your silence. If you've really understood everything up to this point, you know why this can't wait. So now you know. They're not testing anymore. They're already executing the plan, and in the next video, I'm going to show you the document that nobody wants you to see, the one that directly links AI to mass judicial control. It's real, it's in the wrong hands, and it can affect you without you even realizing it. If you understand what's going on, write in the comments now. I'm awake. I'm not going to be replaced. This comment is not just a sentence, it is your digital mark. It is your declared presence against erasure. If this content awakens something in you, fear, anger, lucidity, then leave a like. Not out of vanity, but so that the algorithm feels that it matters. And share it with those who still live under anesthesia, because you already know. Silence is the system's main ally. What if I told you that AI was never created to help? What if your routine is already part of a global experiment, and you are the target? Sign up now, not to follow a channel, but to be on the right side when all this comes to light. Because in the next video, what I'm going to show you can change the way you see this whole reality. And whoever is already out may no longer have a chance to return.